to another episode of Hear PEI videos. Today we're going to be concentrating on professionals. When you're hard of hearing, as I am, it's always a concern when you go to visit a professional, be it a lawyer or a doctor or a dentist.
When Annie Lee and I go and visit the various professionals to raise awareness on hearing accessibility issues, we are always welcomed with open arms. However, we also get a lot of feedback from them saying our job is made harder because people will not admit to hearing loss.
From the lawyer's perspective, it's imperative that the client hear and be able to understand the conversation between the lawyer and the client in order to properly instruct them. One of the challenges from this side of the desk that we have is sometimes people will come in and fail to mention, even if asked, the issue of their hearing impairment, because I find some people are very good at disguising it, and I may be giving them advice and they not understanding, from my perspective, that they are not hearing me. Where I find it most important is when I go to the hospital to talk to a client about their estate planning or wills if they're in poor health. Sometimes I've reviewed wills in the hospital with people, and I get the feeling that when I'm trying to make them hear, that everybody on the floor knows what's in the will except for the person I'm trying to explain it to. We've obtained from Hear PEI the pocket talkers, which I use quite a bit, especially when I hear people that have a hearing impairment. Actually, when people have tried them, a number of them have gone on to purchase their own for home.
In a dental office, it's important to have good communication. And some people that have a hard time reading our lips because now we're wearing masks all the time. And when you can't read our lips, it's hard to understand what we're saying. So there are other alternates that we can use, face shields, such as this, and there's even masks, such as these, where you can read our lips. So these are important aspects of patient management, understanding that the patient's ability to understand and communicate with us is paramount. Do not be scared to tell your dentist to inform the staff that you have difficulty hearing and that you would like them to try to wear a mask that you can read lips with.
Dr. Mackay, why do you think as a physician that clear window masks are important?
The biggest issue is just being able to clearly hear what's being said. There's a muffling that happens with the masks that we currently have, so that's a big issue. But the other one is just being sensitive to how much we all depend, not just those with a hearing impairment, but we all have, to actually seeing the articulation, the person's mouth as they speak. It's not only the speech itself, it's all the associated facial movements, it's the expressions that people have that help to shape the conversation.
It's important to acknowledge it's a very difficult time for everyone. I'm noticing there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of healthcare anxiety in people, and certainly if you're hard of hearing, it's just sort of one more thing that you have to deal with. And I think as healthcare professionals, really important to be aware of how difficult it is for people who are hard of hearing at this time with the additional barriers like the plexiglass, like the masks.
As it relates specifically to COVID, there's no question that these masks will prompt a lot of discussion and awareness among people without hearing loss as much as people with hearing loss. And I see that as a very positive thing. And just by generating that conversation and making the wider community aware of these types of resources and the challenges that some people have in trying to be understood. As physicians, if we're not directly dealing with a community of people with hearing deficits, it's not something that we typically address adequately.
Sometimes even as a healthcare professional, you know what you should be aware of, but if it's busy, you might forget that. And I think if people wore a pin, it would help remind you just to slow down and enunciate better and, bring people off into this consultation room, for example, to cut down on the background noise if hearing seems to be an issue.
Don't hide. Wearing a hard of hearing pin is a visible reminder that hearing accessibility is needed.
There's no question that it's just not the individual that needs to take the ownership, though. It's the service providers as well, and just being more aware of the extent of this problem and the fact that there are some great resources out there that can make a difference and really allow for a much fuller conversation and understanding with the people that they're serving.
We hope you have enjoyed this edition of Hear PEI videos.
Next time you go to visit a professional, maybe some of the things you heard today will help you.
And don't forget to wear your hard of hearing pin. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.